What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host, Phil. Phil, I am on foster puppy duty right now. Brooke's at the gym, so I have a foster puppy running around the room, currently chewing on my finger. So I'll try to eliminate background noise like always, but it's quite painful right now.
I do not have that. I have a closed room and we're doing all right over here. But, foster puppy duties sound fun, I guess, if something chewing on your finger while recording is what you're aiming for.
Yeah, I'm not aiming for it. She's got a little energy because I just got done recording Talking Buffalo with Pat Moran. I was on that show again. That came out on Tuesday, so a day after or day before you're listening to this episode, so this comes out on Wednesday. But fun times. She's got a ton of energy, so we're going to dive into it. Remember, you can follow along with us on Facebook and Instagram at Buffalo Sports Collective and on Twitter, Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com and look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show. I was laughing because that last one really did hurt. We will jump into some Bills segment here, Phil, and we think we did it last year as well, but since we're down to just one show, it's a bit differently here. Bills schedule. That's been released for quite a while now, but I think it's time, and I think it's always a fun segment to pick the Bills schedule. We both went through all 18 weeks and kind of determined what we think their record's going to be based on who we think they're going to win against and who we think they're going to lose against. So we'll start with week 1, Monday Night Football versus the Jets in Meadowlands in New Jersey. Phil, win or lose week 1 versus the Jets?
I have them as a W in week 1. I think they're going to come out pretty strong. I think this team overall, I'm not going to say for every single one of these matchups, but I think the Bills overall are looking pretty good compared to last year as far as just kind of repeating how well they did last year during the season. I think we're going to see a lot of the same. I think the East is going to be a lot better between the Jets and Miami. I don't know what the Patriots are doing, but I think Jets and Miami are going to be a very competitive, both of them are going to be very competitive teams. I think the Bills still have the upper hand until kind of proven otherwise, but I think it's going to be a little closer than maybe it was last year. But I have a win coming out in week 1.
Yeah, I think I picked the Jets to finish second in the division last year. I think it was off by a year. So I also have them winning. Like you said, I think the Jets did better this offseason in improving, and having Aaron Rodgers over Zach Wilson and Mike White and whoever else they threw out there last year is an improvement. I just don't think they're at the Buffalo Bills level, and I think Bills are going to be angry about the embarrassing loss they took versus Cincinnati. So I also have them starting off 1-0. So week 2, home opener versus Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Raiders. 1 o'clock game, a very rare 1 o'clock game this year. It looks like they have 5 total 1 o'clock games. Phil, week 2, Raiders, win or loss?
Another W. I don't think the Raiders are much of anything right now. They're all right. I think they will win some games, probably lose more than they win. I don't think the Bills in a home opener situation will have too much of a problem. Might be close-ish, probably not, but I think the Bills will pull it off and get the W.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Raiders. Is it going to be Jimmy G? Is Jimmy G fully healthy at that point? I know they restructured his deal where not much money is guaranteed anymore, so if they do cut him, it doesn't hurt their cap. I also have them winning. I don't think the Bills are going to lose a home opener, so starting off 2-0 for both of us. We both got them starting off 2-0. We'll move on to week 3, another 1 o'clock game, this time in Washington. The Washington Commanders. Phil, moving to 3-0.
Yeah, we're moving to 3-0. Washington, another team that just simply currently doesn't scare me all that much. Their defense was really, really good last year. Them as a team, offense not really there all that much. And even though their defense was good, the Bills' offense is better and seemingly should, in theory, be better this year if they can put it all together than they were last year. So I have another W coming out.
Yeah, I think this is another team where who knows what the quarterback situation is going to be. Are they going to be starting with Sam Howell, the second-year pro who got one start, I think it was last year. But they do have some talent in the wide receiver room. Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin. There's rumors that Antonio Gibson's finally going to have some type of workload after going into his contract year as his fourth year. And I can't see them going into Washington losing this game either. So I also have them starting off 3-0. 4-0 is a possibility here. Week 4, the third straight 1 o'clock game and the last one until week 7 versus Miami, the team that Buffalo defeated and sent them home last year. They're looking for revenge. Week 4, home versus Miami. Phil, are they starting 4-0?
I think they are. I think Miami will be a better team than they were last year. Again, I think they were a pretty solid team last year as it was. They're a little bit of a scary team on defense, but until, again, I mean, the Bills have gone through this for almost 17 years until we found Josh Allen, so we understand how much a quarterback means to a team. And once again, we're in a similar situation with these starting teams with the Jets. Obviously, Rodgers is going to be a little bit better, but I don't think them as a whole are going to be all that great. But the last 3 teams, including Miami that we've talked about, you look at the starting quarterback and a team kind of goes as far as their starting quarterback can take them. And I don't think Tua is really the answer. And Miami didn't really bring any other competition in for him. So they're kind of putting it on Tua to put it together. And they absolutely have the weapons for him to make it work because they have short area guys with a ton of speed at wide receiver. But overall, I just don't think Tua is that great or that guy to get them to the next level. So again, until we see Buffalo take a step back and Miami take a step forward, I think Buffalo will kind of control the AFC East and take care of Miami.
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly. My biggest fear is the wide receiver room here with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Second year of Jalen Waddle, right? So he's going to be a sophomore here. He was a rookie last year, I believe. He's either a rookie or a junior. I can't remember. It's a long off season here, Phil. But yeah, I think this game's going to be closer than it might appear. I think Miami is good, but I honestly think the Jets are finishing second in this division. I know I'm saying it a second time, but I think Tua is a competent quarterback. And with Mike McDaniel as head coach, I think Miami can give the Buffalo Bills fits. They did it in the playoffs last year, even with a third-string quarterback. And I know everything that happened with Damar Hamlin and the playoffs. They were going through kind of a rut, but Miami is talented. They're just not talented on the defensive end. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Josh Allen. So I also have them starting 4-0, moving to week 5. But this time, 9:30 game, a.m. They're out in London versus Jacksonville. This is one of their home games. Phil, can we get to 5-0?
I do have them starting 5-0. By the way, Jalen Waddle, it will be his third year. He took a dip in receptions last year with Hill there, but he actually had more yards and twice as much of an average from his rookie year. So third year Waddle will be scary, like you mentioned. But week 5 against Jacksonville, London will be interesting. We get to wake up, have some mimosas, have some brunch, have some breakfast, and watch the Bills. Always a good time. I don't think Jacksonville is, again, much of anything. I think they're a developing team. I think they're going to get better. They have some pieces that are interesting, but overall, I don't think they compare to Buffalo at all, really, on the same level. So I will take another W for the Bills.
I actually feel the exact opposite there. I think Jacksonville is going to be very good this year. I think Trevor Lawrence has got it figured out under Doug Peterson. I think Travis Etienne is the running back. They got a question mark with Calvin Ridley, if he's the Calvin Ridley from 2020 he finished in top 10, I believe, as a wide receiver. They also got Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram's back, Zay Jones turned into a competent wide receiver, and then they got some skill on defense. I think Jacksonville is going to be a very good team this year. I think this one's going to be very close. To me, it was a toss-up. I'm leaning Buffalo just because of the track record with the Bills are better than the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, but Jacksonville definitely scares me this year, but I do have them going 5-0 to start the season. Sunday Night Football, bring back Brian Dable with the Buffalo. Phil, late game, you know how I feel about late games, the second one of the season. Can they get to 6-0 versus Josh Allen's buddy, Brian Dable?
I think that one's going to be interesting for that point. Obviously, you have a little bit of a return there. Who knows what's going on with Saquon Barkley with the Giants? I think that is a humongous talking point for that team.
Yep.
Without him, you lose their number one offensive weapon. Daniel Jones is semi-okay at quarterback. He's not bad, but he's nothing that's going to take over a game. So without Saquon, you lose a lot. Their wide receiver room is a bit of a mess. Their defense has been pretty good. I mean, I think, again, the X factor might be just what Dable knows about the Bills, about their offense, how they work, how Josh Allen works, the inner workings of it. Even if you change play calls or anything like that, I think he still just understands quite a bit about the Bills and their offense. So I think it'll be an interesting chess match in that game. But again, I think Saquon is a huge X factor in this one. If he does end up playing the entire season and goes with the Giants, I think they have a better shot against the Bills. But if he's out, I think they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, all the drama was on Stephon Diggs and his place in OTAs. Saquon Barkley's been sitting out. Josh Jacobs has been sitting out. I know they were a franchise, so it's a different situation, but I feel like Saquon Barkley is just as important to their offense as Stephon Diggs is important to the Bills' offense. If Barkley, for whatever reason, pulls a Le'Veon Bell and doesn't play, he sits out the franchise year, plays the final, 6 games, so he can get that contract year counted. It'll look like a very different New York Giants team. But I mean, I don't see them as a threat if Barkley's out. If Barkley's there, I think they're a bit more of a threat because of Buffalo's struggles to stop some of the running games in years past, but I think they've addressed that issue with Daquan Jones in the middle. Poona Ford's there now. I don't think there's a true 1 or 2 on the Giants in the wide receiver game. There's a lot of 3s and a lot of slot guys. They went slot crazy in this offseason and drafting as well. So I also have them winning, going 6-0. Moving on to week 7, another 1 o'clock game. Final 1 o'clock game until week 17. Phil, in New England, what's your thoughts? Can they get to 7-0?
Yeah, once again, you just look at the quarterback situation, and again, Mac Jones does not bother me.
It might not even be him by then.
Right.
It might be Bailey Zappi.
Right. So, I mean,
zapped.
that's kind of the point, right? Like at that point, you might have a different starting quarterback, which means how in-depth is their quarterback room? How great is it? Obviously, not much. You're looking at their wide receivers. Smith-Schuster is interesting, I guess. Devontae Parker was injured a lot. Smith-Schuster's injured a lot. I don't know. They don't really bother me whatsoever until they can prove it. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson is very good and has caused quite a big headache for the Bills. And in general, he's a very good running back. He can do pretty much everything, catch, run. He's very good. I mean, that would be your biggest concern, but Mac Jones doesn't concern me at all. Obviously, their defense has always been good, but the Bills recently have done a pretty good job against this Patriots defense. So this one and New England in general, for the AFC East, again, I think they're probably at the bottom as far as teams go and like what they did in the offseason to get better versus what the other AFC East teams did to try to get better. I just don't think New England's going in the right direction.
Yeah, I feel the same way. This one's easy for me. Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, doesn't matter. New England's going to finish last in their division. Can't believe it, and I absolutely love it. Moving to 7-0. So week 8, Thursday Night Football, Tampa Bay. Are they moving to 8-0?
I mean, you got to be careful with Baker Mayfield. You never know what he's going to do. Yeah, I would say that's a W. Again, I think Tampa Bay, even with Tom Brady last year, started to look not very good after they lost a lot of their Super Bowl talented players that went elsewhere. I think they're just a little bit of a struggling team. Yes, they have talent in Evans and Godwin and some of these other players, but overall, you got Mayfield at quarterback, and I mean, we've seen him bounce around all over the place. He has looked semi-okay at times, and he's looked atrocious at other times. So again, we've talked about it a lot already. We will continue to talk about it as we go, but quarterback is kind of where these teams end up going. I think their defense will probably be okay, but as a team without Brady, and even with Brady, they struggled. They just don't really bother me too much anymore.
Yeah, similar to New England, Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, doesn't matter. The only thing that scares me here is it's a Thursday night game, and Thursday night games can get a bit weird. So other than that, not worried. 8-0 start to the season. This, I think, is when the season starts. I think the first 8. Jets can be tough with Aaron Rodgers back there. Jacksonville's definitely a tough one. You got Miami mixed in there. Giants, what are they? But I think the season really starts, and you're really going to be able to tell what this team is made of come week 9, Sunday Night Football in Cincinnati. What is your thoughts in this one? I think this is the one that we're probably going to take the most time talking about so far.
Yeah, I do have them as a loss here. I mean, Cincinnati made it very, very far. Obviously, last year in playoffs, they're quite a complete team. They made the Bills look atrocious. I know the Bills had a lot going on. They addressed some of those issues in the offseason, not just emotionally, but also some holes on their team that, the Cincinnati Bengals kind of exposed on the fronts of both the offense and the defense. And in general, I don't know. It's going to be a very close game. Obviously, a potential playoff preview. These two teams are going to be there for quite a while. But what talent Cincinnati has and has to offer with Burrow and Chase and Higgins and even Joe Mixon, still looked extremely good last year. I keep thinking that he's an old running back, but he's not really that old of a running back. He just seems like he's been in the league forever, but their defense was very solid last year as well to go along with their incredible offense. If they stay healthy, they're going to be a scary team. I do have this as a loss. I think it'll be close. I think the Bills obviously are going to go into that game very hungry, wanting some revenge from last year, but since he's a very good team, you're playing away, you're playing Sunday night, it'll be a good one, but I think it'll be a Cincinnati game.
Yeah, Cincinnati's terrifying. Joe Mixon ran all over the Bills in the playoff game. Jamar Chase is really, really good. This might be the final year you're seeing T. Higgins behind the Cincinnati crest, I guess you'll call it. Joe Burrow is about to get paid. They still have Tyler Boyd as their third option. They're a terrifying team. Their defense is pretty good as well. I do have them losing here, but I wouldn't. It's one of those games where it's a toss-up, but it just went to the other side of the coin for me. Cincinnati is very good. I feel like they have the Bills' number until proven otherwise, and that's the way I usually roll with this, so I'm picking Cincinnati. So they start 8-0 and then lose to Cincinnati. They move on to Week 10, Monday Night Football. Like we said, Phil, this is a season that people that love 1 o'clock games absolutely hate, and I'm one of those people. I love that they're getting primetime games, but it's still annoying. 4:25, home versus... I'm sorry. I just skipped over the Denver game, even though I said Monday night. Week 10, Monday Night Football versus Denver. Russell Wilson is cooking in Buffalo. Is he cooking up a win or a loss?
I don't know what the heck Russell Wilson is. I think that's...
I don't think Denver does.
I don't think he does.
No.
So I think, this team is a massive, very confusing question mark, I think, headed into the season. Just what is Russell Wilson? He was brutal last year, and I don't really understand why. He was a pretty competent quarterback in Seattle. It did not translate whatsoever in Denver. Javonte Williams will be a very good running back, but he's coming off a massive injury. I don't know if he's going to be ready for the beginning of the season. Obviously, this will be mid-season, so we might be okay by then, even if he is. He's definitely a threat. He was very good last year, and I think he's going to be tough to stop, but outside of that, Jerry Jeudy's been hit or miss. Cortland Sutton's been very good. Tim Patrick's been very injured, so their offense as a whole, not bad. Mainly Javonte Williams, I think, would be their star power, if you want to call it that, given that kind of offensive lineup, but Russell Wilson, this team's going to go again, where he goes, and I don't know what he is. Like you said, I don't think Denver does. I don't think he does. It was very weird last year, so I don't know if he's going to be able to completely flip the script and get better and get back to the Russell Wilson we're kind of used to seeing and be just a good quarterback again, or if we're going to get the same Russell Wilson we got last year that I think the Bills defense would love to see. So
yeah, bringing in Sean Payton definitely helps. I think Russell Wilson is not as bad as he was last year, but I don't think he's as good as he was in Seattle. I don't think he's cooked, but I also don't think he's cooking Russell Wilson either. I think he's somewhere in between. I think he's going to be like a top 15 quarterback, which isn't what they paid him to be. It's not what they traded to get, but I think it's what they now have, and I have them beating Denver. I'm not really scared of the weapons. Jerry Jeudy is good, but Trey White will have 10 full games under his belt by then. I think he's going to be able to match up well. I think you'll see why am I blanking on Kyer Elam? I don't know why I was blanking on his name
is that
so
what
much.
You're going for?
Yeah, yes. Kyer Elam, I think he's going to have a great second year as well. So no matter who is matching up against Jerry Jeudy, I'm not really worried. Javonte Williams, his offseason has been interesting, trying to come back from that nasty injury. It sounds like he might be back in time, but it also, I wouldn't doubt if he's not the same running back ever again. So I got them coming down as a win. They start the season 9-1. Moving on to week 11, 425, home versus the Jets. Do the Jets get the revenge for the early week 1 loss, or does Buffalo just sweep the season series?
Yeah, I think it'll be a sweep. I mean, 425 is a little better for you and me. Not brutal. Not brutal. It's our, I guess, secondary preferred time outside of 1. It's a little later, but not terrible.
Third.
What's your?
I like 9:30 a.m.
Oh, I mean,
normal
I don't
times.
know.
I
feel like that
normal
doesn't
times,
even count because that's London. But
yeah, normal times.
Okay.
Normal time slots. I agree with that.
That's fair. Okay. So versus the Jets at home. I think that's going to be a W. I mean, we already talked about the Jets a little bit. Repeat of week 1. I think the Jets maybe will be improved by week 11. Probably after, Rodgers gets a few games in, but I still think the Bills are the better team. And now you're at home against that team. I think it's going to be another W.
Another weird game here. Week 12, 425 in Philly. The defending second place team, I guess I'll call it. Not really worded right. I don't think anybody's ever worded the Super Bowl. NFC champs that lost in the Super Bowl. There you go. Phil, week 12. Are they taking down the NFC representatives from the Super Bowl, or are they taking that L and running back home?
The Eagles are scary. They're obviously
really are.
Like we just said, they lost in the Super Bowl, but they were really good last year. I think they're going to be very, very good again. I think their running back situation is interesting with DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny and Gainwell, and I don't really know what they're going to be there. I don't know what DeAndre Swift's going to be able to bring. I don't know if Rashad Penny can ever stay healthy. The poor guy gets injured every single year, yet still ends up on teams. So good for him getting shot after shot, and that's not a shot at him. I'm actually happy that he continues to get opportunities because he is very good when he gets that opportunity, but he just really is very unlucky with injuries. So I think their running back room is weird, but Jalen Hurts is their running back room, similar to the Bills have been for a long time, where Allen puts up yards like crazy, Hurts puts up yards like crazy for them. A.J. Brown is an absolute monster. Devontae Smith really came into his own last year. Quez Watkins is okay. Goddard is a very good tight end, one of the few tight ends we've mentioned so far, but overall, their defense is very scary. Their offense is very scary. You're going to Philly. I think Philadelphia can take that game. I think it'll be a big game. I think it'll be a fun game to watch no matter what. But I think if you're going to get a loss, that's another one that could be penciled in there. Philly's going to be really good again. And if they represented the NFC once again, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, honestly, for the NFC, there's 2 teams that, to me, are good. And it's Philly and San Francisco. And everybody else is kind of chasing them. And I don't think there's really a clear number 3 in the NFC. Maybe Seattle, but are you going to get the same Geno Smith that you got the year before? I mean, Dallas is Dallas. They always choke. Minnesota is a question mark. Who knows? Green Bay, Jordan Love, what are you going to do there? So it's really Philly and San Francisco. And if Philly can beat Buffalo and make a statement, they're making a statement across the NFC. So I also have a loss. Going into the bye week, they're sitting at 10-2? Not bad. I think everybody would take a 10-2 start for the season. So, like I said, week 13 is a bye. They come out of the bye week 14, 425 in Kansas City. How many times are you going to have to face Kansas City in Kansas City? I think this is the last time for a while. I don't think they face Kansas City, regardless of what the schedule looks like next year. Phil, win or loss week 14 in KC?
I know, because I can see the notes in front of me, what our answers are for this one. And,
I'm cracking my knuckles. I'm ready for a dogfight.
All right. Wow. All right. Well, settle down.
Bark, bark, bark.
All right, Dane Smith. Anyway, I have a W here. You're going to KC, and the Bills, even though playoffs have not gone their way, we don't have to talk about any kind of overtime losses. We can just keep that out of
don't know
this
what you're talking
conversation, and we can talk, not about other playoff losses, but you've gone to KC, like you mentioned, quite a bit recently, and you've won every time recently that you've played them in the middle of the season. They've been at KC in last year, October, and then the year before that in October, and then all the way back to 2017, they played at KC, and they won then as well. You've won the last 3 season matchups in the season at Kansas City. The last year was close. The year before that was not close. I think the Bills have just kind of figured out how to play at Kansas City during the season. I think when they need to ramp it up then, they can. I think Kansas City is a little bit more of a proven playoff team. I don't think that is really all that debatable. They have Super Bowls to kind of go along with what they've done in the playoffs, and they're just a really good team and kind of have the Bills' number in playoffs right now until the Bills can figure out how to flip a coin. But other than that, I think the Bills will just be able to once again kind of rally and take it in the season when they go to KC.
Listen, you brought the numbers. I get them. I completely understand. Buffalo is very good in Kansas City in the regular season. I don't care. They have Patrick Mahomes. They have Travis Kelce. Unless Travis Kelce has hit and will be hitting that age wall where it kind of just all falls apart, which I don't see happening for a few more years, I am terrified of the offense. And I will continue to be terrified of the offense, even though, like you said, they win in Kansas City in the regular season a lot. And the biggest difference here is they're facing them in week 14 and not 5. So Kansas City is usually rolling by then. I am giving them a loss. This is the first time we differ, Phil. I can see Buffalo winning, kind of like Cincinnati. I can see them winning. The only game that I really can't see Buffalo winning is in Philly. That's the only game where I have them like locked in with a pen with a loss. Otherwise, I can see it flipping back and forth, but I have Kansas City winning in this one. So week 15, another 425. This is a 4 straight 425 game. Dallas is coming to town. Jerry Jones is going to be shown on TV 90,000 times in the stadium. And they're going to be talking about, oh, wait till Jerry Jones is in the new stadium. He's going to have a happier smile on his face. Jerry Jones is never happy. Phil, win or loss?
I do have this one coming in as a W. Yeah, that's about it.
Me too.
Dallas will not be in their lovely dome. It'll be pretty late if you want to say weather affects football at all. This might be one of those that does. Dallas loves playing in their dome. Week 15 in Buffalo might potentially get kind of nasty. They have a decent team. I mean, Prescott's been obviously injured. When he's in, he looks really good. Pollard was incredible as Ezekiel Elliott's quote-unquote backup / 1A, 1B / eventually was just the better runner, and they finally figured it out. So I think he's going to be interesting in his first year in kind of the actual starting role for the RB1 slot for them. I think he has a good chance to kind of take off. CeeDee Lamb, as you know, pretty hit or miss, but can be really good.
My
Brandon
champion.
Cooks will be interesting. Gallup is kind of just that supporting role that he is. So overall, I think their offense has potential. They have weapons. I don't know if they have it completely put together like the Bills do. I think the Bills' weapons are a little bit better. And in general, I don't know exactly what their offense will end up looking like, but they do have talent. I think has the potential to be kind of close. Their defense was pretty good last year as well. I think it'll be kind of good again this year, but I think the Bills will take it.
CeeDee Lamb, my fantasy football champion. I love you. You're amazing at football. But Mike McCarthy, pulling the Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore is no longer there that helped that offense be one of the best offenses in the league. Mike McCarthy said that they score too quickly and they need to stop doing that. What? Yeah. He thought that the offense scoring too quickly was the problem with the defense, that they couldn't get rests on the sidelines. That's pretty much what they said. I might be paraphrasing a bit, but that's just stupid. It's just stupid. I don't know how these head coaches keep getting secondary jobs when they're stupid. So I have them beating the stupid Dallas Cowboys. Can you tell I don't like the Cowboys? And we're moving on to week 16. Saturday night at Los Angeles, but this time the Chargers. Phil, win or loss in week 16 with 2 games to go after this?
I have that one. Same as you.
Loss.
Oh, loss. Yes. I think the Chargers, they're another team headed into this year that are going to be just very, very scary. Once again, they have pretty much everything kind of put together. Their biggest thing last year was health. I think it'll be another issue. I was going to say it'll be an issue for them again this year. I mean, Eckler is an incredible running back if he can stay healthy. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, both incredible. Again, if they can stay healthy, Herbert is a wicked QB, and he's been just really, really good. I think they just have the potential to be a very scary team again. I don't know if they're necessarily right in par with the Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I think those three plus the Chargers to me would be the top four in the AFC as your kind of powerhouse teams. I think this one is another one, like you said, that could go either way, but I have the Chargers taking it.
Yeah, I mean, I just was talking about Kellen Moore and leaving Dallas. He came to the Chargers, Phil, and I will be the first to admit when he left Dallas, I was all in favor of Ken Dorsey saying goodbye to the Buffalo Bills and getting Kellen Moore. I think he is one of the brightest minds in football right now, and I'm shocked he's only an offensive coordinator still. I was shocked he didn't get a head coaching job in this offseason. But him with Justin Herbert and Quentin Johnson, who they just drafted, and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Austin Eckler in a contract year, that's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I understand that they've had injury issues from the time I was born, even the time they were still in St. Louis. No, St. Louis Rams. LA was, where were the Chargers? San Diego. Thank you. Why am I brain? I've done a lot of recording today, Phil, but I got them losing because Kellen Moore is going to make Justin Herbert an unbelievable player. Hopefully none of the people that are listening to this are in the fantasy football league I play in, but I'm going hard after Justin Herbert in fantasy football leagues this year because I think he's going to be unbelievable this year. So, Phil, Week 17, home, New England, 1 o'clock game. Thank you. Win or loss in Week 17.
For the record, noted that you are going after Herbert.
You have Jalen Hurts. Hopefully you keep him and steer clear of all quarterbacks.
He was really, really good last year. Anyway, back to this, where we can talk about fantasy a different time. Maybe I will have that as a W. Once again, I think New England will be the bottom or have a good chance to be the bottom of the AFC East. We've already talked about them quite a bit. I just don't think they're all that much of a threat. I understand Bill Belichick's still floating around. They got a good defense, whatever. I don't know. I don't think New England's very good. And if they ended up beating the Bills either time this year, I think it'd be quite the shock. So I'm still going to take Buffalo in this one at home.
Yeah, Billy Boy, you should have retired years ago. When Tom Brady left, so did your will to coach, and I don't know, he's always had a miserable face. He's a miserable man, and I would hate to be his son because he probably would never have smiled at me and never given me a hug. So I don't care. Bye-bye, Billy, off into the sunset. Final year, dead last in the division. Choke on that. Win. In Week 18, to be determined, but it is in Miami. Phil, are they finishing the year on a 2-game winning streak for us or going into the playoffs? Because I'm assuming, because, they're playing pretty good based on our predictions, going into the playoffs with a win.
Yeah, I think the only question you have with this one, again, we've talked about it a lot, Week 18, are you starting players? Are you sitting players? Does, the record matter? Do you care? We've discussed this back and forth quite a bit in general, but yeah, I think that would be the biggest question mark of this game is just where the Bills are compared to Miami. I mean, it could be an AFC East dogfight, kind of like it was last year, where the game against Miami was massive toward the end of the season, and it could be that the Bills are sitting fine last game of the year and don't really have much to play for, and you don't really care if you win or lose. So I think that's going to be interesting if they're going hard and want to win or need to win, anything like that. You're in Miami. Josh Allen seems to love to play Miami, and I think him going down to a warmer climate, I think he would just kind of let the ball fly, especially Week 18, not super hot like it was last time in Miami. I think he'd have a lot of fun tearing it up, and I think the Bills get another W.
Josh Allen is the daddy of the Miami Dolphins. Give me the win and finish the season on a W. So, Phil, you had them going 14-3. I had them, once again, third straight season, winning 13, but going 13-4. Are they, I guess this will be my final question, then we can move on to our final segment. Phil, are they winning the Super Bowl this year?
I think you're running out of time in a way. I think they'll be fine for years to come. I think Brandon Bean and McDermott have proven that they can kind of figure it out if they need to. But as far as your, Josh Allen cap space crunch coming up, I think right now is still your window. I think this year is going to be huge. If they stay healthy, I think they have an extremely good chance. I think it really comes down to the health of the defense for sure, health of the team in general. But I mean, if you have, your guys like Von Miller out there the entire time, especially in the playoffs, but also Kincaid and what he can do and what he can bring, can he be that extra element to the offense? I mean, you didn't get, as of right now, you didn't get DeAndre Hopkins. He's still floating out there. No idea what's going to go down with that. But at some point, if you really don't add any other talent to the offense, what is that going to end up being like? Can he be another weapon to kind of add to what they do? And then Ken Dorsey, I think, is the biggest question mark going into this season. What can he do as far as play calling goes? It was ridiculously stale and boring last year, and I don't really know what they were doing too much on offense most of the time. And when it did work, they seemed to go away from it, and I don't know, it was just kind of a mess. So I think he's going to be probably the biggest one to watch this entire season. Can he mix up the play calling, make it a little bit more exciting? Can him and Josh work really well together and get on the same page and kind of figure it all out? If they can, I think they have all of the pieces to win it all. I think it's just, can they put it all together finally this year and get over that hump like the Bandits did?
You summed it up perfectly here with the final statement there. Sean McDermott was in the house when the Buffalo Bandits won. It's over. They're winning the Super Bowl this year. Sean McDermott took lessons from what John Tavares did and what the Buffalo Bandits did, and they're bringing home the trophy this year in February. So I have them winning the Super Bowl this year. Don't question me otherwise. So
put your bets in now.
Put your bets in now. Get it now while the numbers are still low and before the odds makers hear this prediction show. So Phil, you had them finishing 14-3. I had them 13-4. Pretty good, successful season for the Buffalo Bills, which will always happen as long as Josh Allen is behind center. Phil, moving on to the Buffalo Bandits / NLL. We kind of had some fun last week. We put on our suit and ties, and everybody had a nice chuckle at that picture. My God, it was so bad, but I loved every second of it. We played commish for a day last week. This week, we're ranking all 15 NLL teams by both their, not both, all three, city, name, and logo. From 15 to 1, we kind of broke it down. We ranked all 1 through 15 by their city, 1 through 15 on their name, 1 through 15 on their logo. Broke it down, got the averages, and built a list here. Phil, are we ready to dive into 15 to 1? Some of these rankings might scare you.
Yeah, I think we are. I don't know. Some of this was a little bit surprising for me. Kind of, like you said, breaking it up by city, logo, and name, and then kind of where they all landed and ended up. And some of the teams that I thought I disliked more ended up a little bit higher on my list, and was kind of surprising after I finished all the averages. Like, oh, I really don't like that team. I don't know how they got this high. But it is what it is. That's how I ranked it, and we'll see how it all shakes out between both of us, because we have not revealed our list to each other at all. We have no idea what our 1 through 15 actually looks like. So I'm interested to see how they compare.
Phil, what's your number 15 ranked team?
Number 15, and according to my averages, it was pretty much by far the worst average. There were three other pretty low averages. My bottom 4 or 5 teams were pretty bottom 4 or 5, and then there was a little bit of a gap, and then got to a little bit out of the higher teams. But my worst team as a whole was the New York Riptide.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're going to have very different lists.
Oh, no. What's your last place team? And then I'll talk
Vancouver
about the
Warriors.
in a second. All right. They were surprisingly high on my list. They were one that I
don't like them.
Yeah, I didn't think they would be that high on my list either, but I think I just ended up ranking other things worse. All right, so I guess I'll start with the Riptide. I don't care for the name, the logo, and the city's okay. I mean, New York City, we hear about it way, way, way too much because we live in New York, and even though we're hours and hours and hours and hours away from the city, we hear about it all the time. I've been there once. As far as travel destinations, I have no interest in really going back to that area. I don't love their logo, and I don't like the name.
I'll talk about them more when they come up. But for Vancouver, I don't like the logo. It's just a shield with a V in it. Very boring. I don't know much about Vancouver, so that says all you need to know about Vancouver. I'm going to make so many enemies again, Phil. So many people already hate me, but I'm trashing all these cities anyways. The time zone stinks. Very cold.
Why don't you like
Logo
the time
stinks.
zone?
The city's blah because I don't know about it. So I'm just gonna put Vancouver 15th because I don't like any of it. They came in last in all three of my rankings, so they had a solid 15 regardless.
Yeah, I had New York as a 13. The only one. No, yeah, they were 11th in my city. They were 14th in my name, and 15th. I really don't like their logo. I don't like what. Why the Riptide? What does that have to do with New York?
I don't know, but you'll see.
All right.
Phil?
Well, we'll move on.
What's your 14th?
We'll fight about that again later. Philadelphia Wings are 14th for me. I'm sure Philly fans are not going to be happy about that because
Gritty's going to get you.
They love their team quite a bit. They're a very passionate fan base. Wouldn't say anything negative toward their fan base personally, but as far as I don't know, I don't like again. I don't really understand the wing. And I also found out when going through all of these teams that I really shy away from the letter logos. I think they're really boring.
Yep.
And that's one of them. That is one of the letter ones. It's, I guess, I don't know, one of the more interesting letter ones. But why the Wings? Again, don't really get what that has to do with Philadelphia. I mean, there's Detroit Red Wings. That's not really... I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, they're not Buffalo Wings. I don't really know what Wings has to do with Philadelphia. And as far as the city, it's okay. I mean, I feel like similar-ish to Buffalo. So it was, I think, 10th. It was 10th on my city list, so it did okay city-wise.
I'll talk about Philly in a bit.
Man, our lists are very off
for you. This one might surprise you.
Okay,
based on all my conversations I've had on this show. I think just saying that should give you a huge indication who's number 14 here. I got the Toronto Rock. I do like the city. The city is a very fun city. I go to the Blue Jays games a lot. I just don't like the logo. It's a maple leaf, not very original, and then it just has the word rock. What would have made it better is if it was just a picture of a rock. I think it would have the comedy effect to it. I will admit, all of these logos are better than the baseball logos by far. I think these have some of the best logos in all of sports, to be honest, because a lot of the logos just stink, Phil. But I'm not a huge Toronto Rock logo fan. I like the city. The name's okay. I don't really get it, the Rock. But, I mean, what also hurts them is they don't even play in Toronto. So that has a negative aspect to it. So I got the Rock in my 14th spot.
I'm not gonna say they're high on my list. They're in the bottom tier, and I agree. Their name was last place for me. I don't understand rock at all. It's super boring. It's one of the more boring objects you could possibly pick. Like you didn't even say. I don't know. Like Boulder would be a little bit more interesting.
I feel like that would be Colorado though. You
right?
can't steal Boulder.
Absolutely. But I didn't like rock at all whatsoever. So that was the worst name on my entire list. Their logo. I mean, I guess we can just dive into it because we're talking about it. I don't like it for sure. I think it's clean and classy-ish with the maple leaf back there, but it's higher than I expected, but it's low in general, and I think it's because I have every single letter one behind it.
Yeah,
I don't like the letters at all, and there's a couple others I have behind it, like the Riptide that I don't like, but that's all right. Oh, my 13th, gonna make a lot of enemies again with most of these, but Rochester Nighthawks was my 13th. Again, we got a letter logo. I do like the Nighthawks name. I think the name was middle of the pack for me. I really don't mind that at all. City, other than being closer to the Finger Lakes than us, doesn't really do anything for me. It's a pretty small city. It was one of the It was 14th for me on cities. It's one of the smaller, I think, on the list in general. It's, middle of the state. And I think we also just know too much about Rochester, so that kind of hurts it a little bit. And I wish their logo was their alternative jersey logo with the cool Nighthawk that looks really awesome in their blackout jerseys. If that was their actual jersey logo, I think they'd be much, much higher. But I don't like the whatever they got going on with the. Is that like a K and an R together with a wing? Is it just an R with a wing? An R with a wing. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'll talk about them shortly as well. My number 13 is Georgia Swarm. I guess I like Georgia. I don't really like that you're named after a whole state, though, even though you're not the whole state representative. I don't know. I don't like it. It's the name Swarm. Are there bees down in Georgia, Phil? I don't know. I don't like the logo. The city's okay, I guess. Never been down there. Don't know. Honestly, blah. That's all I got to say about Georgia. Blah.
Yeah, see, this is the one that I thought would be like last place for me. I don't like anything that Georgia's really. I don't like you said. Don't really like the name. Don't really like the logo. City, I had middle of the pack, so I think that helped them quite a bit compared to some of the other ones that ended up tanking because they were kind of more a little bit combined to tank. But Georgia's the one that was a little bit higher on my list that surprised me because I don't really like what's going on there with all of it.
Phil, number 12.
Panther City Lacrosse was number 12 for me. I don't love their logo. I like the idea of the logo. I don't really like the Panther all that much. I feel like I would have just gone with a different Panther. I don't know. He looks like an old man Panther to me. I don't love the Panther. I don't like that you have no idea that they're from Texas or Fort Worth by their name. Everywhere else has what city they're from or even an entire state, and Panther City Lacrosse has nothing. If you just randomly told someone Panther City, how are you supposed to know where that is? I had no idea. I mean, obviously I know because I follow the league that it's in Fort Worth, Texas, but if you just say, hey, this is the Panther City Lacrosse team, that could be a high school for all I know. I have no idea where Panther City is supposed to be. So I don't like their name very much at all. I'm surprised it wasn't even lower, but it got pretty low on my list for that. And I know Texans don't like any shots against it. It's hot down there. It's hot in Texas. I'm not a big... I did notice that most of the lower cities on my list, a lot of the southern ones that are there are on there because it's too hot for me. I don't like hot weather all that much, as I don't think you like hot weather either. So Texas was pretty low as a city. Fort Worth, I'm sure the city itself is perfectly fine, but it's hot, and I don't really like hot weather all that much. So they are 12 for me.
Number 12 for me.
Vastly different.
I got Albany.
Oh my God, you're killing me.
You like Albany, I'm guessing. I don't like Albany. City, who cares what's going on in Albany? They're more of an outdoor team. I don't like the name Firewolves, honestly. I think they could have gotten a bit more creative because they went from the Black Wolves to the Firewolves. I think they could have gotten a bit more creative when they moved from New England. The logo is just the word Firewolves, and then it's kind of like a flame over the wolf. The city of Albany did bad on my rankings. The name of the team did bad, and the logo did bad. I'm surprised they're only 12.
They did really, really well for me.
I'm a little shocked. You're a fan of the Albanys.
Albany, the city, was last place, so I will give you that as the city aspect of it. The logo and name, if we're just I'm not gonna reveal where they are on my list, I guess, until a little bit later. But the logo and name were number 1 for me in both.
Phil, what is number 11 for you?
Number 11 is the Saskatchewan Rush. Saskatchewan was middle of the pack as far as cities go. It seemed similar-ish, I guess, kind of, to a small Buffalo. Has some, some woods and some lands that you can go visit, and also a smaller city. So city was meh, like you said, about other cities. Don't really know a ton about the city. Logo was pretty extremely low for me. It's a weird R. We have already talked about how I don't like the letters. I do love the black and green an insane amount, but I don't like the random letter, and Rush is a pretty boring name to me, so they were pretty low on the name as well.
I'll talk about the Rush in a bit.
Oh my gosh.
Number 11 is one that we are really already hammered home, so I don't really have to talk about it much, but Rochester, I don't like the New York, middle of the city or state, Rochester, blah. Don't really like the city. Not much going on. They have good putt on that one course, so there you go. Credit to you. Logo, don't get it. Nighthawks, don't get it. Don't like it. That's all I'm going to sum up. I'm finding out that I don't like these bottom 5 teams, Phil. Rochester. Phil, what's your number 10?
Number 10 for me, we have already talked about quite a bit, and again, was a little bit higher on my list than I expected, but that's Georgia. We've already hammered them home pretty hard. The city was middle for me. I actually looked Georgia up and just kind of threw some images out there and was wondering, what does Georgia look like? I'm sure I've driven through it multiple times. I don't think I've really been specifically to Georgia, and I found what is a European capital of the country of Georgia, and it looked incredible. And I was like, wow, if that's what Georgia looks like, I am really missing out. And then I dug deeper and I was like, okay, just wanted to make sure that that is absolutely not what Georgia looks like. Found the U.S. version of Georgia. I was like, all right, yeah, that's more of what I expected. So that was in the middle for me. I don't like the name all that much, and I don't like the logo all that much.
Welcome aboard. I'm finally happy that you piled on to one of my hated teams.
Crossover.
So it is the second crossover, and this one's about to be the third crossover. Actually, no, it's not. We haven't talked about this one yet. My number 10 is Halifax. They stole Rochester. They ran to Halifax. If you told me I could win $1 million if I looked at Canada and pointed to Halifax, you could give me 1,000,000 guesses. I would have no idea where Halifax is if you just took the cities off the map. No idea. Don't really like the logo. I do appreciate that it's just a logo, though. I like that the bird kind of has a thunderbolt coming out of the bottom of it. Maybe I should have ranked the logo a bit higher because it's actually just a legit logo. It doesn't have much to do with the words Halifax or Thunderbirds besides the lightning bolt. But, I mean, Halifax, I have no idea where you are. I'll just put them 10. This probably should have been a bit higher just based on the logo itself, but, Halifax is Halifax. Don't know where you are.
I guess that's fair. They ended up a little bit higher on my list because of a lot of things that you seem to end up liking more about them as you were talking about them more and more.
Weird. This averaging thing kind of messes with your brain a bit.
It does, because it takes some aspects that you think should be a little bit lower. But we wanted to do all of it. And, it's not just an individual city logo name list. It's all of it together. It's a big average. Where were we at? We at 10? 9?
We are at 9.
Toronto Rock were my 9. We've already talked about them quite a bit. Toronto, the city, was pretty high for me. They don't really play there and won't for a few more years, but we're going to still call them Toronto, I guess, for now. So Toronto, the city, ended up being kind of high for me. I like that. Hate the name. The logo, again, kind of moved ahead of some of these letters and other logos I didn't like quite as much, but was still not all that exciting of a logo, so pretty low in general. So they are my number 9 team.
My number 9 is Philadelphia Wings. You already hammered it home. It was your number 14th ranked team. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know where the Wings came from. Is there a big wing conglomerate in Philadelphia? Never been to Philly. Brooks said Philly's was nice, but, I don't care. It's Philly. It's a wing. It's a W. Whoop-de-doo. Congrats on being in Philly. Whoop-de-doo. I don't know, Phil. I don't know. That's all I got. What's your number 8? Let's move on. Philly. Whoopee.
Number 8 for me is a new team. We got a new team, number 8. Haven't talked about them yet, so that's exciting. Las Vegas Desert Dogs were number 8 for me. Las Vegas, the city, pretty low.
Interesting.
Don't care about the city all that much. I get it. I guess I get the draw, the attraction. I'm happy there's a team there. I'll put it that way. I'm happy that the NLL went there. I think it's a good move by the NLL. I'm not, down talking there being a team there by any means. For me personally, I don't care about Vegas. I don't know, it's pretty low, I guess, if I had to pick things that I'm saving up money to go to a trip for. If I wanted to go there for like a weekend to see the Bandits, if the Bandits were away, I would absolutely go and have a little mini adventure, but I have no real interest to go and stay and make a whole thing of Vegas. But their name's fine to me. They were, I think, number 6 for a name, and I do like their logo quite a bit. That was number 4, so I think it was mainly the fact that I don't care about the city all that much that dragged them down a little bit lower. But overall, not bad. Not bad. We're getting into the not bads for me.
You're going to have to wait a while to hear my Las Vegas take. So I will go with my number 8, and it's Colorado. And this is not influenced on them being in the finals back-to-back years. If their arena floor looked better, I feel like they would be ranked a lot higher because I feel like I like Colorado. I don't like that they're named after a state. I wish they were named after, Denver. Do Denver Mammoth. I'd be better with that. I like the name Mammoth, and
Boulder Mammoth.
Boulder Mammoth. I don't know. Just don't pick a whole state. I don't like it. Move on. But yeah, if their floor didn't look like absolute dog doo-doo, they would be ranked higher for me because I like the Mammoth. I like Colorado, and I don't mind the logo. I just hate their floor. Their logo is too big. It looks stupid. I don't like it. Fix it. And that's all I'm going to say. They're my 8th ranked team. Phil, who's number 7?
We are similar-ish on Colorado. They're coming up pretty quick for me as well, but we'll get there. Number 7 for me is a team you trashed quite a bit, Vancouver Warriors. I don't mind the name. Warriors is a fun kind of name compared to some of the other names that I have below them. I think it might be simply the fact that I don't like some of these other names more than the fact that the Warriors is a good name. I think their logo to me, even though it's not great, I think it's very modern, and I think it's very lacrosse. Like, I feel like that's very just lacrosse type logo, and I think that's kind of why I picked it a little bit higher. I think it screams lacrosse to me for some reason. I don't know. Like, if I see that logo, I'm like, oh, I don't know, it just seems like a lacrosse team logo. So that's why it was a little bit higher for me there. Vancouver, the city, was pretty high for me. I think I've looked up just things about Vancouver in the past. I used to love, my gosh, why can't I? What is the Canucks? There it is. I used to love that team for hockey for a really long time with, was it the Sundin Twins? Is that who it was?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think back in my NHL days when they were bumping, I used to pick Vancouver all the time to be the team to play with. And so I kind of ended up liking them quite a bit. So their city was pretty high on my list. And I think that's what really kind of had them take off. Other than that, I think they were middle of the pack for the other things. Warriors, the logo for me was 11, so not super high. Name was 7, so middle, but the city was 3. So I think that's what brought them to number 7 for me.
My number 7 is a team that you kind of trashed. It was your number 11th ranked team, Saskatchewan Rush. I don't know where Saskatchewan is either. I apparently don't know Canada at all. I don't mind the name Rush. I don't get it, but it's original and I like it. I like the logo. I do like the colors of that, that nice neon green and the R. I wish that they would. I know this is going against everything I say, but I wish they would kind of like do what they do sometimes with some of their logos and just spell out the whole word Rush, because I think they would have a better logo effect of it because of the writing style of it. What do you call that? The design of the writing.
Font? Is that the
font? Thank you. Why? It's like I said, this is the second recording today, Phil. I don't know how people do this for hours and hours in a day, but yeah, Saskatchewan Rush. I like the name Saskatchewan just because it's fun. I like the name Rush just because it's weird, and I like the logo. I'm surprised they're only 7 for me. So Phil, who's number 6 for you?
I do agree, especially with their little tail that they have on the R. If they
Yes.
put the USH over that, I
Yep.
would like it a lot more. I do not like the R by itself, and
That's
I don't
fair.
understand
That's
why the
fair.
tail goes so like. Is the R rushing away? Is that the idea? Like it's
Right.
rushing
You gotta get the
to the left?
USH.
Yeah. If it had that, I think it'd be higher, especially because, like I said, I love the neon green and black. It's one
Right.
of my favorite color combos, so I wish I could like the logo a little bit more. We are at 6, you said? Is that...
We are at 6.
All right. We've already talked about this team. It is the Colorado Mammoth. They are 6 for me. Colorado was 7 in city, 8 for logo, and they were 3 for name. I really like the name Mammoth. I think it's kind of fun. It's
Right.
a little bit more unique. I like Colorado in general, like you mentioned, and the logo is kind of fun. As far as a letter logo, I think it's very unique and it's a little bit different. It looks like, the mouth of a mammoth, which is pretty fun. So I think if you're gonna do a letter, I like that it's very dynamic and not just a plain letter. It's very unique as a letter, and I think brings a lot to the logo. So it was the higher of the letter logos for me.
I have in my number 6 spot a team that you also didn't like. We've got very different lists. This is why you know that we didn't work together on this. Panther City Lacrosse Club. I love the name, Phil. I love the name. It was one of the top names. I love the color scheme. I love the logo. And Phil, if you know your history and you looked at that logo, you should know exactly where this team is based because they got the Lone Star State right above the Panthers' head. I love every aspect of this. I don't know why it's only number 6. I hate this average system. I really, really like the name Panther City Lacrosse Club. You can abbreviate it, PCLC. I love it. I love the color scheme. I am a huge Panther City Lacrosse Club team fan of it, I guess. Well, I don't know how to describe it. I just like it, and I'm mad it's 6 and not in my top 3.
Yeah, I've already bashed them quite a bit, so I'm not gonna rebash it. I'll let them finish out with you enjoying. I'll let them finish on a high, I guess.
Thank you. They also appreciate it. Phil, who is in the number 5 spot in your top 5?
Yeah, this is one. I mean, I love that we have 2 teams back to back that we absolutely bashed the other version. Like you bashed it, and now I bashed yours. You bashed the heck out of mine already. Mine is Albany Firewolves. I really like the logo. I think it's one of the more unique logos out of all the logos that are out there. I think the fire looks really cool. I think the wolf looks really cool. I think their jerseys on the floor, especially with the silver cage that they have, and their uniforms in general, are one of the better ones. I think it's a kind of scary, ferocious looking fire wolf, theme that they have going on. And so, yeah, the name was number 1 for me. The logo was number 1, and the city was last place. So the city didn't help at all. I think the name's kind of fun. Firewolves. I think fire in general is kind of fun. I like the logo quite a bit. It's one of the more unique, dynamic, on fire, kind of terrifying logos that are out there. I don't know why you dislike it so much.
I don't like it whatsoever. My number 5 is a team we haven't talked about yet, which is rare. I'm interested to see where you have this one ranked. I wish it was in my top 3, but that's not the way averages go. I know that because of my schooling. Averages stink. Phil, I got the San Diego Seals. I love San Diego. Heard very rare things negatively about the city. I like that it's a city name and not, this is the California Seals, because that would be stupid. I like the logo because it's a seal wearing a crown. That's cool. And I like the color scheme. I like the city. I like the name. San Diego Seals, my number 5 team.
I will get into them when I'm not going to give away any more of my top 5 here, so I will wait for them to be revealed where they are on my list. Number 4 for me is a team that you trashed a little bit and then tried untrashing at the same time, and that is the Halifax Thunderbirds. They are number 4. I got nothing against Halifax. I think Nova Scotia, which is where they are, they're a city of province, I believe, up there of Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia looks absolutely gorgeous. Would love to visit it sometime. Would have no problem stopping into Halifax in general. I do know where it is. I mean, they've been in the league long enough. You should know where Halifax is at this point.
I just don't care.
All right. Well, Nova Scotia looks beautiful. That's where they are from. I've wanted to go there for quite a long time. I think their logo is rare in the fact that it's the only bird we see. And from going over other lists like this,
That
we've
is very
seen
true.
a
Good
bajillion birds. And I think it's interesting that they're the only bird. And I really like their color scheme. And I like like you said, the lightning bolt. I think the bird looks honestly pretty cool. I think it looks very angry and a little bit terrifying. And I like the idea of Thunderbirds in general. I think it's one of the cooler names, a little bit more unique as well. So they were number 4 for me. I like pretty much everything they got going on.
Phil, this one might be your biggest discrepancy. My number 4 was your number 15. I have New York Riptide. I like the color scheme. I actually like New York City. And I don't understand why they are called the Riptide. It doesn't make any sense. But I love the name. And they have a great graphics team. There's a lot of things they can do with the word Riptide. And I'm just a fan. I like that there's a lacrosse stick involved. I'm just a huge fan of them and Jeff Teat.
I think you just like Jeff Teat too much.
It could be that, yes.
Yeah, I really don't want to bash them again because you're doing nice things. I don't understand Riptide.
Nope, doesn't make sense, but I love the name.
Niagara Falls, a whirlpool or anything. I don't get what's going on there. Their logo is pretty much a circle. I don't mind the color scheme. I like that the color scheme is unique to, the league a little bit with their. I like that aspect of it. There's not really another team with that color scheme, which I think is very fun because it's the teams that usually come into the league have the exact same color scheme all the time as all these other teams. And there's other colors out there. So I do like that aspect of it. I don't know. The logo to me, I understand it's a Riptide. It looks like a giant circle with a lacrosse stick. Riptide, of all the things to pick for New York, I would not have picked that. I don't mind the city. Just doesn't really... I mean, it's cool. It's a big city. It's obviously extremely well known, and we like the Yankees quite a bit, so there's that. But good for that. I mean, I'm happy that some of our list is pretty opposite because, it's, one of us is fighting for that team and the other doesn't like it very much. What are we up to? 3? Top 3?
Yeah, who is your number 3 team?
So there's still, clearly we are the same on at least 2 of these. 2 of these are in the top 3 because they haven't been said yet. I don't know which one. I don't know which other one you're missing. I'm sure I should know at this point which other one. Oh, I do. Okay. I see your top 3 now. Okay, my number 3 is one that you said you wish you had top 3, and that's San Diego Seals. You've already mentioned how much you like pretty much everything they got going on. They were my number 1 city, I think, for me. I have never been to California. I'm not a huge California type person, I guess, but it looks like you mentioned beautiful. Would love to take a trip there, and I think their outdoor game that was out there looked incredible, and everything about it just seems like a really good time. Seals seems fine to me. I didn't love Seals all that much, but it's not a bad name, and I do like their logo quite a bit, and overall like the team. So yeah, they were in my top 3.
This is where I'm going to get the hate. My number 3 team is the Buffalo Bandits, and I really like the logo. This is no critique on the logo. I like the city. Obviously, I live here. I don't like the color orange. And I know this is going to hurt your soul and hurt your feelings because you're a Halloween guy and orange is Halloween. I just don't like orange. And I have orange because I'm a Buffalo Bandits fan and follow the team and cover the team and all that. But I don't know. They were definitely in my top 4 regardless because I think the logo is too unique not to. I think the name of the team is too... It was just the orange that did me in. And I understand it, and I love the color orange. I love seeing the color, like the sea of orange. Orange is probably like the bottom tier color for me, personally. That's the only thing that hurt them. That's the only negative I have. But they wouldn't be the same without orange. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything about them because they're still in my top.
You're such
3.
a homer. They're number 1 for you, aren't they?
I was really, they are, if we're going to be honest. And I was honestly trying not to have them be. I was like, I don't want to be a homer and have them be my number
Always
1.
are. You picked them to win the championship. Yes, you were right, but still, you're such a homer.
I also picked Colorado to be there. Just happened to be
You did?
two for two.
But you hadn't beaten Colorado.
How did Toronto and San Diego do?
Listen, I went out on a limb. I tried to be unbiased. Was I wrong? Heck yeah, I was wrong. But I'm not a homer, Phil. And that's why people listen to this episode. And
My
listen to the
biased
show,
opinion was correct.
They have the two aspects here. They have the idiot in me, and they have the homer in you. And together we make a perfect harmony.
Yeah, they really, like I said, I was really trying to be, like you said, not a homer and pick, just not choose them as my number one because they were my number one. I guess I'm going to talk about them because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I can do my number one next, too.
Yeah, I will, and I'll drop back to my number two, which I'm guessing we have very similar, a team that's very high, but the Bandits were number two logo, number two name. Bandit as a name is, similar-ish to a pirate style thing, and love pirates and bandits of those kind of things. In general, like you said, a little bit more of a unique name than some of the other ones we see here. Their color scheme, I absolutely love orange. I don't know if it's my favorite color. It's probably my favorite color, and the fact that I love Halloween and their color scheme is orange and black and white and purple. They got everything I'm really looking for. And like you said, the city, obviously we live here. We love it. Pretty high on my list. So yes, overall their average was number one. Their average was 2.6 for me as far as where they averaged. They were not a straight one. So, there's that. And then my number two team was 3. So it was 0.4 off. It was very close. It was tight 1-2 battle.
Well, we can combine your number 2 and my number 1, which is Calgary Roughnecks. I love the name. I actually think I know where Calgary is, but I love the logo as well. The only knock I have for this is the same I have against Colorado. That floor is god ugly, Phil. The color of that floor is like a baby puked on it. And then they rubbed it all over the turf. That's what it looks like. I hate the turf, but I love every other aspect of the Calgary Roughnecks. I usually hate having the name of your team in the logo, but the way it's written, where it kind of like it's a wave, and then you got the muscular dude with the lacrosse stick and the hard hat above him. This is my favorite team. You know what I mean. Favorite team for this rankings.
For the record, from what you've chosen and what you've described, I feel like you do like the name and the logo. You picked the Roughnecks pretty high, you picked the Desert Dogs pretty high, you picked the Riptide pretty high, and you want the Rush to put their whole name in the logo.
Yeah, the average doesn't make sense. Yeah, Vegas is my second team too, and I love the logo. I want to go to Vegas.
Desert
I'm
Dogs.
very jealous of producer Pat to go to Vegas. I love the name. I'm surprised they were not number 1 for me.
I do love their cross. I wish Desert Dogs was a little bit higher, but again, it was just Vegas is a little bit lower for me. It's so hot.
That's fair.
It's hot.
It is, but
you know how I feel about
if you
the
don't
hot
ever
teams.
leave the casinos, you're good.
That's fair. And again, I'm sure if the Bandits play there, we might make it worth a small quick
Company retreat
to go see them live. I think it would be great. And yeah, Calgary Roughnecks were my number 2. I like pretty much everything that's going on. Big muscle guy with a lacrosse stick looks sweet. Roughnecks is a cool name. Calgary seems like a really cool city. Never been, but would go. They were my number 2 city. So yeah, I think they were pretty good. I think All right, so let's try to break down. I don't know. We'd have to see our list combined. I guess we'll post it later. But 3 of our top 5 were the same. With San Diego,
yes.
Calgary, and Buffalo?
San Diego, Calgary, and Buffalo.
And I feel like a few of our bottom 5 were the same as well, just mixed
Rochester
around.
was 14 for me and 13 for you. Georgia was 10 for you, 13 for me. Toronto was
just snuck in my
9
top.
for you, and looks like 11 for me.
Where'd you have Philly?
Philly, I had 9 and you had 14. So so we had a very similar top
bottom
and
6.
Bottom. Yeah.
The middle teams, we were a little all over.
Biggest discrepancy by far, you had New York 15, I had New York 14.
And then Albany was the other one.
Albany, you had
5.
Where is it? 5, and I had 12.
New York
and Vancouver
by 5.
too. You had 7 Vancouver, I had 15 Vancouver.
So there's a few big
There's a few.
discrepancies.
That's the way logos, teams, and cities work, though.
Yeah. And again, shows that we did not do our list together whatsoever.
We didn't. We do a lot of things together, but not this. So, Phil, is there anything else you want to add to this fantastic episode before we post this and get ripped to shreds? At least I will, because I don't have Buffalo 1.
I'm interested to see, what other people's lists might look like. You don't have to give us a full list. You can if you want to. If you feel like you want to do all the averages or throw your favorite logo or your favorite
do some homework.
name.
Be a little bit proactive, guys. Don't just make us do all the work. You do some work.
Yeah. If you want to give us your list, that'd be fantastic. It'd be fun to see where other people line up, maybe with your top 3, your bottom 3, pretty much any thoughts you have on any logos or team names or cities in the league. We like the feedback, so would love to see it.
Yeah, we'll post this. We'll have our top 15, 1 through 15 posted. We'll have producer Pat do this before we put it out there. But Phil, it was a fun company retreat we were just on. Producer Pat showed up. You and I were there. There's some hot tub action. There was some lacrosse stick throwing, ball stick throwing with the lacrosse sticks, whatever. There was a pond, paddle boat. I had to rescue Brooke and my brother multiple times because they kept floating to the shore and couldn't get back. But it was a fun trip. Very fun. Happy to do it again next year. But like we said, love the feedback out on the social media sites. Let us know your top 15. If you want to just let us know your top 2 and bottom 2, who cares? Just communicate with us. We love the feedback. And also, if you have any ideas or anything you want us to talk about throughout the entire summer, because we are in our off-season mode, let us know. We'll research it. We'll dive into it, and we'll get it on the show, because this show is done not just for us because we like talking about sports, but for you because you actually listen to the show, and the numbers are looking great, and we appreciate everybody listening. So thank you all for listening to this episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Follow along with us on Facebook and Instagram at Buffalo Sports Collective and on Twitter at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Subscribe to our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, bye-bye.